How's it going, everyone? VenomousStare here, and today I'm going to be showing off a Terran build order against Zerg on Frozen Temple. This is a build of my own creation somewhat, so it's not very standard. Oftentimes players open with Hellions. This is a macro-oriented tank push off of two bases with a fast third behind it. It's a little bit unorthodox. It can catch people off guard, and specifically it's good on Frozen Temple, which is the map you see me playing on right now. So I'm going to open with a supply depot on the low ground. I like to favor building this at the base of my ramp because oftentimes if you're getting rushed you want to have a wall, and I always like to start my walls flush, like up against my ramp or the other side. I don't like to start off by putting stuff in the middle because it makes it trickier to wall. Next I'm going to go CC first on the low ground at 16 supply and then start to make workers immediately. I took the SCV that built my supply depot and I'm going to scout with it because I need to know if I'm being cheesed. Honestly, this is what you want to see, a hatchery first. In my eyes, I would rather play against someone who's just playing standard because I know what to expect and I can do my plan. When I scout, I don't like to see cheese. Like, even if theoretically, oh, I scouted the cheese, I should be able to defend it. I would prefer to play a standard game usually. So that's what I see, standard stuff. I see whenever you see a Zerg's gas finish right before, whenever you see the mining start right as the pool finishes, that's normal timing. That means they're probably going to get Zergling speed pretty quick. So I've made a barracks right next to my supply depot to start the wall, and as soon as the first barracks finishes, I'm going to start a marine and build another barracks to complete my wall. So after the wall completes, I'm pretty much impervious to any sort of early Zergling ground rush, which could be obnoxious. And since it's a 2 barracks wall, he's probably not going to Baneling bust. Obviously, I'm making both of my command centers into orbitals as fast as possible. The one marine chases off the scouting and he's walled out, he can't see anything. This is another advantage of going for this fast building wall, is now he has this one overlord out here kind of stranded and he can't really scout like he needs to. So after I get a tech lab, I get a factory, and I'll get a reactor on this barracks next. The idea with this factory is I want to make a tech lab on it as fast as possible, and the idea with this tech lab is I want to start STEM research as fast as possible. I scout for it again and see that can't really see much of anything because he made 2 lings. And Littlefoot, my Zerg opponent, has taken his 3rd base. He's also making a roach warren, which, because he made those lings, I was not able to scout. So he's probably going to be favoring some aggression that counters marine base 2 barracks play, which is kind of what he scouted. He can deduce somewhat within reason. You never know fully what your opponent's going to do, but you always have to assume within reason that he's going to do something somewhat standard. So for instance, he's probably not thinking I'm going to make like 3 Reapers out of this. Of course not. So this is great for me because I went fast factory with fast tech lab and put a starport down right after. Notice I'm pretty much mining from all my gases as well, and I've been making SCVs the whole time. And I've been trying to make marines when I can, but you should prioritize building SCVs and your other stuff before marines. Although I have a handful. As soon as your tech lab finishes, you need to build a siege tank. This is very important. This will mean that you're impervious to many ground rushes, and it also sets up this, your starport, which is also very important. As soon as you have the money, you want to make a medevac. This will coincide perfectly with your siege tank, which can defend for you. This siege tank, look at this. The Zerg make 5 roaches that I didn't scout at all, and this is going to do absolutely no damage because I went for this early tank. And he can't even pressure the front door and try to run through. It's not even close. And because this cliff is so far extended on Frozen Temple, he can't even stand outside and be obnoxious. The medevac finishes, I begin another as well as another tank, and I have the ability to ward off infinite roaches because I can just drop and pick up perpetually out of his range. So now I take the units that I've built as my stem just now completes and push across the map. Now this is a motley crew of units, but let's consider a few things. After making 7 roaches like that early, my opponent has far fewer drones than he should, and he's going to be making mass drones right now to recover from that failed push. Not only that, but he's teching to Spire, so he doesn't want to make any units at all right now. He wants to save all of his money for mutas. So with your small little force, you want to pressure forward and then always use the tank to obnoxiously choke out your opponent, because 2 tanks here is going to be very difficult to deal with as Zerg, because you can limit their creep spread and they're not really going to have appropriate units. Slow roaches, slow banelings. He's really relying on mutas right now, and I've hit a completely anti-muta timing. This is another great thing you can do. Drop on this high ground abusively while you pressure this base, and then just swing back down low. So at this point the Zerg, he's trying to rally Queensford to stop these tanks, so he's missing injects. He's relying on mutas, but he doesn't have the economy to make them and fight this army. So he's forced to leave. So this quick little tank push, and by the way, I made a third behind this and was making more barracks as well as double upgrades. And that's all. That's all we missed in the main. Nothing else happened. And you want to take the third when you push, by the way. So let's just review a few things. Push the third. Notice the creep tumor was destroyed, so the creep spread was limited. I should have scanned again. Pressure forward with the 2 tanks. Drop up here to force your hand, and whenever they press forward, pick up and drop down. Remember, it's early enough in the game where they're not going to have mutas, especially after seeing roaches. Also remember that the more that Zerg commits to attacking with early, the weaker they are later on. That's why this push hit so hard. It looked like he just didn't have any units. It's because he made those early roaches. And yeah, he made those big swell of drones, but his economy hadn't kicked in. And I'd hit a nice pre-muta timing. So this is a nice little build that can catch Zergs off guard, because they just won't have the composition to deal with this tank evac. If you enjoyed, subscribe for more StarCraft.